Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday to you. Happy Friday, happy Friday. So today I'm doing something just a little bit different than what I usually do. So I would love it if you would put in the comments whether this rings your bell or not. It's a little bit different than the normal personal development, but part of personal development is also working on ourselves, and not just the internal stuff, but also how we show up in the world. And so that's where I want to go with this a little bit today. I want to talk about developing ourselves in order to meet the emergence of AI. Bottom line, we're all going to have to develop ourselves to develop our skills. We're going to have to become more valuable. And we can. We've always done this. You know, I grew up in rural Arkansas. When I was a kid, I learned how to milk a goat. That's a skill. It's a great skill, but it's not very valuable. It's not going to pay a whole lot. So to make it in the world, I had to skill up. I had to go to school. We all do this. We skill up. You may not know this, but one of my businesses is called The Agent School. It's a coaching and training company in the real estate industry. Yesterday, I was recording some training videos on how AI can be a source of leverage for agents and how it can increase their job efficiency. I've been watching AI a little bit, sort of out of the corner of my eye, and also I've been using it in my work. And so that has me thinking quite a bit about AI and its impact on all of us. Simply because in my own little business, I'm seeing how it's allowing me to hire fewer people. And when I think about that on a big scale, it makes me really nervous. I think that nervousness comes from the fact that I'm part of a generation that was told that if you work hard and go to school and get good grades, that everything's going to work out for you. Well, that didn't happen for a lot of people in my generation. That was a broken promise, and it feels like the emergence of AI in some ways is like another break of that promise in some weird way. It's another sort of pulling the rug out from under us, which creates a whole lot of uncertainty. And uncertainty makes me nervous. I'm not a guy that likes a lot of uncertainty. And I think a lot of us have that in common. So I want to talk about this AI thing today just a little bit from my perspective and from where I sit in my business. Experts believe that AI is going to disrupt anywhere from 15 to 30% of our jobs. 15 to 30% of our jobs are going to be disrupted, potentially eliminated. Let's just say 1 in 4 jobs potentially eliminated, majorly disrupted due to AI. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of uncertainty. That's a lot of fear. Yesterday on this broadcast, I talked about the fact that some will and some won't. Some do and some don't. Trying to drive home this idea that some people pay attention to what's going on around them and will prepare and make adjustments in their lives to align with the outcomes that they want to create for their lives, and some won't. Well, this topic today is really no different. Some people see what's up ahead and they're going to make adjustments, and some won't. Some will wait until it is impacting them directly, and then they'll react. If you've not learned anything else in personal development, living in reaction is not a recipe for success. It's not a recipe for you individually. It's not a recipe for a collective or a societal success. We always want to be able to respond, not react. So how can we prepare for the inevitable that's coming? And I say inevitable. Yes, it's here. As I mentioned in my own work, I'm already hiring less people. I rely heavily on AI as an editor. When I wrote Break and Untangle, my book, I hired 6 editors. That came out in 2021, middle of 2021. I hired 6 editors not that long ago to help me get that book over the finish line. I can't imagine relying on AI exclusively as an editor for the next book. I don't see that. I'm going to want a human being's perspective, but I don't expect to hire more than 1. And that's just little old me, from 6 editors on a project down to 1. So again, it's not inevitable. It's not coming. It's here. I get AI to write code for my websites. I'm hiring fewer freelancers for web work because AI is just better and faster at that. So how do we prepare ourselves? How can we respond rather than react to what is coming? How can we, as human beings, continue to make a living? How can we start to skill up now in order to be ready for what's coming? I've got some ideas that I want to share with you today on this topic, but I do want to begin with a disclaimer that the ideas are just Chad's ideas. No one should go bet the farm on Chad's predictions. It's just how I'm seeing the world from where I'm sitting right now. Let's start with the story to kick this off. So I heard this story from somebody else, and it goes something like this. There's this guy who's working at a low-skilled job, and he's tired of getting paid so little. He's frustrated. He gets his check every week. He looks at it in disgust. He goes out in the parking lot to get in his clunker car. He looks around the parking lot, and he sees all of his coworkers getting into their fancy cars, which just makes him even more angry. And here they are working at the same place. Some of them have the same job, and they can afford a nice car. What gives? What's the problem? Well, one week he thought, I'm tired of this. They need to pay me more here. So he marches into his boss's office and he asks for a raise. I need more money. And the boss tells him no. For the next 6 weeks, this guy picks up his check. He goes into his boss's office and he asks for a raise, and his boss says, no, this is all we can pay you. So he's pretty frustrated. And his grandfather is a wise old man, has always given him good advice. He goes to his grandfather and he says, Grandpa, I want to make more money. The other people at work, they're making more money than me. Some of them even have the same job. They started at the same time that I did. And they even get to drive a nice car, and mine will barely start. I'm tired of this rat race. And his grandfather says, well, grandson, have you asked for a raise? Well, yes, of course. I've asked many times. But they keep telling me that this is all they pay. Aha, his grandfather says. I think I see the problem, grandson. This isn't all the company will pay. You've told me your coworkers are making more, so clearly it isn't all they pay. This is all they'll pay you, because this is all you are worth to them. If you want to make more money, you have to make yourself more valuable. To respond to what's coming, to respond to what is here, we are all going to have to become more valuable. We are all going to have to skill up. Let's explore this through the lens of the work that I'm doing with real estate agents. All right, so AI is able to do a lot of things to help a real estate agent in their job. It can help them from writing marketing copy to analyzing market data. An agent's ability to do more with less isn't just coming, it's here. An agent can run a leaner staff. That's not coming, that's here. I think what this is going to mean is fewer real estate agents doing more transactions with less help. Those agents that are already doing a lot will have to recalibrate and learn how to use a new technology to create the leverage if they want to remain competitive. New people coming into the business will have to learn how to use this tech to create leverage in order to compete right out of the gate. You're going to have to be good at it right out of the gate. You're going to have to learn to leverage it right out of the gate. I think hungry people with the desire to make it anywhere will continue to find a way to make it. And I think this business is no different. If you want to make it, even in a changing landscape, and a landscape that's getting more competitive, if you want to make it, you can make it. I think the part-timers are going to go away. I don't think the economics are just going to make sense anymore. On two fronts. First of all, there's just going to be less opportunities available to the part-timers. Those high producers who are leveraging the tech, who are doing more with less, they're going to gobble up more market share. Selling one house a year is not going to cover the expense of the fees and the dues and the continuing education and all the rest of it that's required to hold that license. It's just not going to make sense. And the reality of that will become more and more clear to people, mainly to brokerages, which is the second front that I think this is going to become clear. I think you're going to start seeing brokerages refuse to allow people who are only going to be part-time. They may let them be part-time for a while, but only on a short-term basis. New people are a heavy, heavy investment for these brokerages, and any good business is always making to look for a return on that investment. I don't see AI replacing an agent. I'm still bullish on real estate agents as people that we need. I've been in the real estate industry since 2007, so almost 20 years, coming up on 20 years. And I've seen a lot of attempts by big money to come after the agent's commission, to try to replace the agent. And they haven't been able to do it at a high enough level. So finally, they're trying to do it through the courts, and we'll see how that works out. A home is most people's largest investments. They will spend more money on their home than anything else in their entire life. And so this makes it, for most of us, a very emotional decision. I don't see us taking a human being out of that sales process. I I just don't see it. At least not in our lifetimes. And by us, I mean people my age. I don't think our generation has been brought up to accept anything but that. Such an emotional decision, we're going to want another human being involved. I think the same is true for mortgage and title. A high-level operating person with much fewer people behind the scenes supporting them. Still doing it, but much fewer support staff, much more reliance and leverage through tech. So looking at it, let's broaden this out a little bit. Looking at what's coming through my real estate lens, I think gives me a little bit of perspective on how I'm seeing the rest of it and how we can skill ourselves up to meet the moment. And if I were to wrap it all up in a single phrase, in a single idea, I would sum it up as we have to develop our soft skills. We can all start right now developing soft skills. And when I say soft skills, I'm talking about things like our communication skills, relationship skills, teaching, community, and our ability to inspire others. I want to talk about each of these a little bit. Ultimately, though, this means us developing and working much more on ourselves than on our jobs. The job may get replaced, but the soft skills can get applied in a lot of different places. I have some friends. I started out my career, I was a band director in Arkansas for half a second. And as a band director, you develop a lot of soft skills. You've got this group of teenagers, maybe 100 of them in the band, and not only are you dealing with them, but you're dealing with the staff, and not only are you dealing with them, but you're dealing with an administration, and not only are you dealing with them, you're also dealing with all these kids' parents. You're dealing with a lot. You develop a lot of soft skills in that job. I don't think that job's going away either. But my point is that we have all of these soft skills that can get applied in a lot of different areas. And I have used the skills that I learned as a band director in my business career time and time again. I learned so much in working with people and managing emotions, teenage emotions, and managing parents and expectations. I learned a lot of soft skills that got put into great use when I started my business. I think that what many get wrong, what the tech bros get wrong with the future of AI and the landscape is that we are not going away. Unless our tech bro overlords decide to eliminate most of us, we human beings are still going to be here. And people have to be able to get along with other people. We're still going to exist. We have to still be able to communicate with one another. We have to convince other people to see things our way, or to get them to take action, or to buy something. These things rely on our communication skills. We're still going to be in relationship. We are hardwired for relationship. People are still going to connect with one another, whether it be romantically or in professional relationships, or like in teams or in organizations, being in relationship with a client. It's also part of it. We are hardwired to connect with one another. And as long as we're still here, we're going to have a desire to do that. The Surgeon General, I think a couple of years ago, put out a warning that we're suffering from an epidemic of loneliness. Well, if we didn't have a desire to connect, loneliness wouldn't be a problem. If getting on the computer and doom scrolling all day was enough to satisfy us, we wouldn't be lonely. But we are suffering from an epidemic of loneliness. We are hardwired to connect and be in relationship with one another. Being someone that can be in relationship, who can work with others, you're going to remain valuable. There's still going to be a need for that skill. Teaching. Teaching's another one. I'm bullish on primary and secondary education. Good ones. I don't see in our lifetimes us outsourcing the human development of our children to machines. I just don't see it. And adult education. We're going to need new skills as new technologies emerge. We're going to need people to teach us as adults new skills. We're going to need training. We're going to need adult education. I'm not talking, by the way, about higher education. That's not what I'm talking about. I think higher ed is due for some major reform as an industry is going to contract. But adult education, helping the workforce make decisions about how to become more valuable and then teaching them the skills, I'm bullish on that. We've all, even the bad students amongst us, we've all been impacted by a good teacher in our lifetimes. I just don't see us outsourcing that to a machine, not in our lifetimes. So I mentioned a little bit training. I think that also applies to coaching. I'm bullish on coaching and training. There's a biological imperative for human beings to connect that's necessary in those industries that a machine just can't replicate, at least not yet. think about this in terms of simple accountability coaching. Which do you think is going to produce the best results that someone will actually pay for? A machine that is automated to help you stay accountable. Maybe it sends you a text message or pops up on your phone or sends you an email. Yeah, there's a level of accountability in reminding yourself. But if we're looking for accountability coaching, that's nothing compared to a person that we're having to meet with every week, or a person that is asking us to be more than who we are today. That emotional connection of making a coach proud of me when I jump on a call and I tell them how much progress I've made, and it makes me feel so good because they're proud of me. Or if I didn't get it done and I feel like I've disappointed them and I've let myself down, I don't see that getting replaced by a machine, not yet. So I'm bullish on coaching. I'm bullish on training. I'm also bullish on community, meaning your skill to create and nurture a community of people. I think with the rise of AI, there's also going to be a rise in skepticism about all things online, all things on our screen, whether that be a movie screen or our computer screen. I think there's going to be a definite rise in skepticism. I think there's also, along with that, there will be a correlated rise in the desire for things to happen in real life, realities that we can experience that cannot be distorted. Let me give you a couple of examples of why this is in my head. So one that's really benign, let me just share this with you. So when I create training videos for my real estate training company or the coaching company, I'll create a training video and then I use an editor to edit those videos, to take out the ums and the so's and the likes and I say right a lot. I don't know why. But I'll use an editor to take all that stuff out so that it's more tolerable to watch me. And the editor that I use is integrated, has AI integrated into it. So I'll drop the video into this program, and then within a couple of minutes, it spits out a transcription. So on the right, I'm looking at my video. On the left, I'm looking at the transcription, which is amazing, by the way. And then I'm able to edit the video from the transcript. So I can just delete a word off of the transcript and it will immediately update my video. Now that was not the case even a few years ago. I had to go in and watch the video and look for all of it. It was a nightmare. Editing a video was a nightmare. AI has made this so much easier. So I can delete a word and it will automatically update the video to match. Amazing. Let's say I mess up a word. Let's say I said dog and I meant to say cat. Well, I can highlight on the transcript, I can highlight the word dog and I can tell it to replace that word with the word cat in my voice because I've trained it in my voice. The machine can talk like me. It can sound like me, which is freaky and scary, but mostly benign in my use case, right? I'm just editing training videos. Imagine that getting applied in the political landscape. That's a different story, right? Another one that's less benign, in my opinion, is I like to watch the pioneers of personal development, the old guys, the OGs of personal development. I like to jump on YouTube and look up their old seminars and just absorb it. And I'll watch them and I'll think, oh, you could never say that today. And I'll think, okay, well, how can I update that message? It's a good message. How can you update it today? It's part of my own skilling up. It's part of my own training myself, is I'll watch them, I'll observe them, and I'll think, how do I modernize that? How do I tell that a different way? How do I apply that to my life so that I can share it with others? So that's what I'll do with that. So I'm looking this morning, I'm searching for Jim Rohn. I've been watching a lot of Jim Rohn lately. And I find a video on YouTube, and it's Jim Rohn talking about making 2025 your best year yet. Jim Rohn, and I'm hearing his voice, and he's talking about making 2025 your best year yet. Jim Rohn died in 2009. And he's talking to me about making 2025 my best year yet. And that just hit me wrong. I don't know why it hit me wrong. I think a part of me thinks it's disrespectful. I don't respect it. I didn't watch the rest of the video. As soon as I heard it, what the hell? I didn't like it. For some reason, it set wrong with me. I think that sort of thing is going to become more and more prevalent. And I think with that, there will be a rise in people who are more skeptical and who are going to crave more real-life interaction. I think if you can create community, and if you can take that community offline, you're going to be somebody that's leading the pack. If you can create those experiences for people that cannot be distorted, whose reality cannot be distorted, I think you're going to be leading the pack. I really do. In my real estate training company, training is a major part of the program. Training is what I go out there and sell. But if you really investigate what I'm actually doing with it, I'm building community. It's really more about the community than it is the training. I'm bullish on community. And finally, inspiring others. I think this is a valuable skill. And I think as we become more siloed, which AI is making more possible, healthy silos will value representation. Healthy silos means that with representation means that I can see somebody in my ecosphere, the people that I'm seeing online on my screens that are in my world, that there's somebody that looks like me. This is particularly an acute idea for someone, who's in the LGBT community, to be able to see someone being successful that's had a similar life experience to me tells me I can do it too. If that person can do it, I can do it too. Representation is so important. Like it or not, seeing Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris run for president meant something to little girls. Like it or not, seeing, for me, Pete Buttigieg, an openly gay member of the cabinet, being there, that means something to me. That's representation. It's powerful stuff. And having those role models to inspire us and help us see a better future for ourselves, I think is valuable. I think that our ability to lift people up and to inspire people to see themselves as more than they are today, to show them that there's a better future for them, that there's a potential for them to rise up and be more than they are today, I think there's going to be a lot of value on that. I think as uncertainty grows, the idea of lifting others up to not feel so uncertain, to give them hope for their future, that's going to become incredibly valuable. So I'm bullish on soft skills. I'm bullish on the skills of communication and relationships and teaching and creating community and inspiring people, on coaching. I think there are a lot of those examples of how those soft skills get applied in an AI-disrupted economy. And I think they're all positive, and it's an exciting future when you can latch into the idea of skilling up and rising to that occasion. I think those are some fun and positive things that we can do in the face of a disrupted economy and a disrupted workforce. If you disrupt 15 to 30% of a workforce, there's going to be, by the way, on the less positive side, there's going to be an increase in poverty. An increase in poverty means there's going to be an increase in crime, and people are going to be desperate. So I think there's also going to be a need for law enforcement, prosecutors, defense attorneys, parole officers, social workers, mental health care professionals, and I know that's a lot darker, but I think that's the reality that we've got to face. There's going to be a need for those types of people as well, who also have to develop their soft skills to be able to be in those roles for which there will be a demand. So I know that today has been a little different than my usual talks, but I hope that it has got you thinking and has served you nonetheless. I want to encourage you to skill up. Don't make yourself irrelevant. Make yourself valuable. Do it now. And when I say irrelevant, I mean in the workforce. I don't mean as a human being. Do it now. Don't wait. Start reading books. Start watching videos. Start taking classes in the soft skills that I've talked about today. My generation, people my age, around my age, we do not have the luxury to Netflix and chill. It's just not, in my opinion. We just don't have that luxury. We've got a disruption coming that requires new and enhanced soft skills. So start now. Spend your free time skilling up. A couple of nights a week. Read a book every day. Read a few chapters a day. Read a few pages a day. Start skilling up and developing those skills that are going to be required of us moving forward. So, with that, I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. And as always, may you have joy, peace, and happiness, good health and well-being, a life of ease and prosperity, the courage to get what you want from this life, the clarity to know what that is, the imagination to not sell yourself short, and the discipline to see it through.